And that was an acrobatic shoulder stand there with Barbara over at Yoga with Barbara. And here we are with Miss Judy Kohin, the executive director of the Ah-Haa School, soon to be a new Ah-Haa School, which we're going to talk about. But before we get into that, we want to ask Judy the thing that we ask all of our guests here, which you may have been on and told us this before, but we need to know how you got here.
How I got to
How are you of Telluride? How long?
So I moved here in 1985 to work at the Skyline Guest Ranch, which was run by the Farney family and sold a few years ago. But I was a assistant cook to Barclay Durrani, who owns Indian Ridge Farm, or I guess, yeah, she still owns Indian Ridge Farm. And so I came out for that summer and I never left.
And you never left, so you've been here for quite some time.
I have.
Now, you did a tour of duty at the Ah-Haa early on, didn't you? Weren't you?
Yeah, so I started at Ah-Haa in 91.
That's right.
1991, and I took a little break in 2006 for a few years. I came back and just ran the bookbinding program for a few years, and then I took another little break, and I've been back full-time since 2012.
And since that time, within your time, the Ah-Haa will have moved buildings twice now, right?
So
did you guys move from the Silver Bell building?
So we started in the Strong House.
The Strong House, okay.
Yes, we started in the Strong House, renovated that in 1990, moved in 91, and then we moved to the Silver Bell in 93. And then in 2000, we purchased the Stone Building on Willow Street. Mm-hmm. So we have an operation there, bookbinding. And then in 2007, we moved to the Depot. And now...
Which was a restaurant at the time, right? Or
you know what? It wasn't anything at the time.
Okay, so Harmon's
it was in between Harmon's, the brew pub, and then Harmon's, and then there was nothing going on in the Ah-Haa at the time. It was 2007 or 6, and we purchased it. And so... we've been there since 2007, so 12 years.
And purchased it is a light term because whenever you purchase anything here, particularly in these areas, it's quite expensive and it takes a while to pay off. You paid it off.
Right.
You paid off the Depot, right?
So we paid off the Depot in 2014, and then we started the plans for the renovation of the facility.
Which is really exciting.
Yeah, so we were going to renovate the Depot. Mm-hmm. And spent a couple years working on that. We're about to apply for a historic grant, mm-hmm. and a board member came on and said, so I assume, a new board member said, I assume this is going to be enough space for our long-term home. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, actually, it's not really going to be even enough space for what we need right now, but we're not going to worry about that because where else are we going to go? And so we started looking at other space. Mm-hmm. We weren't even thinking about doing that at the time, but when we started looking around, we realized, we actually do need more space. And guess what? There's this really cool project that the town's doing, and we can get in at the ground level. And
literally at the ground level.
That's right.
That's the kind of stuff they pay me for here.
Nice job. So anyway, so we the idea of renovating the Depot, we would have to move out for probably a year and a half while we were renovating.
Which is pretty difficult if anybody walks into your school during the middle of the summer.
Yeah, so there were a lot of issues with staying in the Depot. The biggest one is we'd have to move out. We'd have to close our operations or move to another space, which that would have been really difficult. And also we needed more space. The Depot has 6,700 square feet. We've been growing our Telluride Painting School. We didn't really know where that was going to go. We were thinking there would be an alternate site for that, and we hadn't even started exploring that. So in addition to renovating the Depot, we'd have to look for another space just to have our painting classes because we wanted a dedicated painting space.
And right? The town had this parking garage complex and something above it, affordable housing that they needed right in the core.
Yep.
Right.
So they were sort of looking for a community partner for that building. And they didn't approach us because they thought we were all set in the Depot. And until we, started looking around town and actually went to the town of Telluride and said, hey, you have some property, you doing any cool projects? And they said, yeah, actually, we have this great project. Boy, you would be a great partner because you own a property, you can sell that, and you would have enough money to purchase this new piece. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of other community organizations in town, didn't have the capital that we had with the Depot.
Yeah.
So we started talking and said if we can get 10,000 square feet, we'd love to do it. And actually, it was a pretty smooth and easy process with the town. They said, "Yeah, you're a great partner." They didn't really want to chop up their commercial space into a lot of little offices or whatever, and so they were looking for one community partner for that space.
And when you look now, Chris Kwasniewski, who
Yes.
works for you, and Jess Newlands, who also works for you.
Yes.
I'm just going to mention their names because Chris and Jess very nicely showed me the plans the other day, which
Right.
is this multi-page thing, and they went through it because they've been in a lot of the meetings for those
Yeah.
plans, right? And that's taken you how long? Like a year to do the planning on that? Over that?
Oh, no, a lot longer than that. We started the planning in 2016, late 16, working with an architect. It's been really intense the last year. We're now working on the interior plans.
Yes.
We're trying to figure out, we've already figured out where will every room go. And then now we're looking at furniture and fixtures and, treatments,
Yeah.
those kinds of things.
Well, so let's talk about some of the highlights. Like, for instance, the school now, one of the issues is that people don't, I'm inside baseball because I do teach there sometimes, but one of the issues now is that every time you guys move into a different room and those kind of things, there's not really a lot of storage space in that room. It was a depot and a restaurant, basically. So there's a bunch of sinks in it, but there's not a lot of storage space, right? And you need a lot of storage space for art projects.
Right. The main issue is moving like tables and all of the things that you need,
happens,
just
yes.
the basic things you need for the class. Not every room has a sink, actually. So, for instance, our gallery, which is the largest room in the school right now, it's about 1,000 square feet. It doubles as a gallery and the painting class. We just had a class start today for 3 days with a visiting artist from Virginia, a 3-day painting class. Well, they're in the gallery, which is a fabulous space. It opens out onto the deck. There's actually not a sink right in that room. And so we have to schlep everything in that we need. We have to cover the floor. We have to bring in the tables. And we have to adjust the lights. So having a space where every room has been thoughtfully created for
Yes.
that media that you want to use, whether it's ceramics or painting or
Yes.
encaustic. Every room is carefully being planned out with the storage and drawers and sinks and
Yes.
ventilation, and it's going to be
I saw you have
amazing.
storage like along the walls in the main spaces. You have a shower for your employees, right? You have like a tiny little like sort of space where the employees have cubbies and those kind of things. Well, it's a concern now when you build things, right? Because people don't all live in the town core anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes we're going from working all day in our art classes to, oh my gosh, we have an event and someone needs to take a quick shower. So yeah, we have that. We're putting in a beautiful cooking school on the second floor that's going to be featuring classes for food and wine. We have, a larger ceramic studio that's actually going to have a gas kiln, which we've never had before, so we can expand our programming. And we'll have dedicated spaces just for kids.
Yes.
And we'll actually have in our mixed media room, there'll be snorkel ventilation that'll come down right over your workspace so that if you're soldering or you're doing silk dyeing and you need ventilation to take the fumes out from where you're working.
This is a big deal.
Well, I feel like we haven't had the best ventilation, I'll be honest. We open a lot of windows. We have fans.
Yep.
But now we want a really clean, safe environment for everyone to work in and beautiful. It's going to be a warm, inviting space. Our lobby is going to have actually a 2-story opening, and it'll be really beautiful and welcoming and warm.
I did want to also compliment you because I saw the plans and there's a community room which
Yes.
you've built into you've actually built into the school. So the school is the school. You have your ceramic studio, you have your painting studio. You guys have figured out your own needs, but you also, for years, for instance, to organizations like mine, to Telluride Art Theater, you've given us space for little to no money to be able to rehearse and do other things like that, and for other folks, acupuncturists, those kind of things. And so you actually built a community space which is is it second or third floor?
It's on the top floor.
Which comes out into a big, it's a garden or a balcony or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's a large balcony sort of deck that faces south, and so we'll have about a 900 square foot room that opens out onto a 1,000 square foot deck. And so that space actually, in the summer especially, there are French doors that can open and it kind of expands your classroom out. So that that space will be, it's going to have a hardwood floor. It'll be beautiful for lectures, for movement classes, for our writing classes, for non-messy classes.
Yes.
And
You've moved
yoga
you've
and that
taken
kind of
the
thing.
gallery, the
Yeah.
idea of the gallery, which everybody really liked in your
Yeah.
old school, and you've just moved that onto the third floor of your new
Right.
school, which is pretty great.
Yeah, it'll be great, and the balcony sort of deck area has a separate entrance where, for breaks when kids need to take a break during a class, we have kids classes going on, and if they're there all day, they need to take a break, and so they can actually walk out onto the deck, run around a little bit, and be outside without having to go through that community room.
Well, Judy, that's pretty great. I mean, I like it. You can come in, you can stop into the Ah-Haa, right, and see the plans if you want to see them.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
And I want to touch upon this because we don't have much time left, but you need to pay for this building, obviously. It's not like everybody has all the money in the world. You're going to pay for some with selling the old building, but you also have an auction coming up, which is your major fundraiser of the year, right?
Yes, we do. July 19th, our annual art auction. The theme this year is Onward and Upward, because we are moving from the depot to First Street, and it's going to be great. So we have a live auction and a silent auction. The community comes out in force, and a lot of the funds raised at that auction will go towards specifically the building, but that's usually we're doing a paddle raise, and during the paddle raise, that money will specifically go towards the building. We are in fundraising mode, and we have under $1 million left to go, so we're looking, we're doing really well. We're kind of in the final stretch, and people are sort of coming out of the woodwork to help us out as we try to finish off the building, and we'll be in by May of next year.
Nice.
Hopefully, Mountain Film will be operating out of the new building next year. So things are looking really good. Yeah, it's less than a year now. It's gone. It seems like it's taken a while, but it's actually gone really quickly.
Guys, go to the Ah-Haa school. Talk to Judy if you can catch her. Probably not now. Don't talk to her until after the auction. Go to the auction, right? July 19th?
Friday, July 19th.
Friday, July 19th. Spend some money. Help the building out. It's an amazing community project. It's also ringed by some affordable housing, and we have a parking garage, which we desperately need downstairs. But the best part of it is that there's an art school right in the core there. So thanks a lot for coming on, Judy.
Thank you so much. That was fun.
Let's head over to Fuel Up with Becca and Ryan. We're going to do some kettlebells coming up next.